Ad Hoc Committee on the Section 100 intervention in the Northwest Province visited the province this week to assess the progress as well as the impact of the intervention. It will also assess if the intervention has a direct impact on service delivery in the province. The Section 100 intervention came about as a result of unhappiness with service delivery in the province. China Dodovo is the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Section 100 intervention in the Northwest Province, and he joins us now. Mr. Dodovo, a very good evening to you, and thank you for your time. Perhaps let's start with the reasons why there was a need for intervention in the Northwest. What were the areas of concern?
And the National Executive invoked Section 100 by intervening in the Northwest. It was because of poor service delivery, which was completely deteriorating. It was because the financial management systems of the government had collapsed. The government was, all the departments across the board were receiving bad audit opinions from the Auditor General. The state of the municipalities as well was a major concern. Some of us would remember that at that time, the South African National Defence Force had to be sent to the Northwest, each wing of the medical health service, to assist in the hospitals because the health system had also collapsed. On those bases, the National Executive invoked Section 100 by intervening, by taking the powers of the province to ensure that all the services that I've just mentioned were rendered to the people of the Northwest Province. Those were the bases in which we had to understand why the National Executive invoked Section 100 by taking powers of the provincial government.
Now, there is traditionally an ad hoc committee that is constituted to oversee the process as well as any interventions and transformations that would need to be put in place. How long has the ad hoc committee been overseeing the process in the Northwest?
We were appointed by the House of Parliament in December last year, and we started in January. And in terms of our appointment, we were to conclude our work on the 26th of March, that is next week. But because of the magnitude and the seriousness of the issues at hand, the House yesterday, on Thursday, extended the term of the Ad Hoc Committee until the 24th of June this year, so that we are afforded more opportunity to interact with the stakeholders, to go deeper to the issues as such, to ensure that when we present our concrete recommendations to the House, it must be things that are implementable, that will help Northwest to be extricated from the morass in which it finds itself.
So what were you expected to achieve in a period of 3 months between January and March? Can much actually be done in that period of time?
Our work was to review the intervention, was to review whether the intervention is working or not, was to review the performance of the National Executive, because as you'll be aware, about 12 departments have been deployed to assist in the Northwest Province, and our work is to check whether this intervention was working or not, and based on that assessment, to make the necessary recommendations to the House in terms of where are the areas of weakness, where are the areas of improvement, and what is it that can be done to ensure that the Northwest Province is, like all other provinces, stable, it is able to render services, and its government is able to fulfill its executive obligations under the Constitution.
Let's get into the details now, Mr. Dodovo, of the exact outcomes of your visit. What is still missing? What still needs to be put in place in the Northwest?
We visited hospitals. We feel that there is still things that are lacking in terms of improving the services in the hospitals. We visited the schools. The infrastructure of some of the schools is not in the standard where kids can attend schools. We realize that there are problems in terms of scholar transport that needs to be addressed. But most importantly, the province needs to fill senior management positions like appointing the Director General and other HODs who are going to be responsible and be in charge of the executing the day-to-day affairs of the different departments. And in our belief, we think that those things must be attended to as a matter of extreme urgency so that the province itself is stable especially at management as well as governance level.
A large number of the issues that you point out, Mr. Dodovu, have budgetary implications to them. Is there enough of a budget to appoint the senior management that is needed to restore infrastructure at schools, to ensure that the scholar transport, among others, to ensure that those are actually available and put in place?
Yes, I think in our view, there is sufficient money that is available, but the misappropriation of funds is a problem. The manipulation of systems, the escalation of the kilometers, for example, in terms of the scholar transport, are some of the issues that need to be attended to. We were told that the forensic investigations have been undertaken to ensure that, to determine exactly what had happened with the funds that are missing. And our call, which we think needs to be attended to, is to ensure that the law enforcement agencies, the Hawks, the SIU, the NPA, they do their job very effectively, because at this point in time, we are not convinced that they are putting a lot of effort, a lot of energy in terms of attending to all the allegations which border on corruption, on fraud, on mismanagement of funds. And our view is that the work of the law enforcement agencies must be coordinated much better so that they produce the results, and that there is consequence management, so that those who are responsible for all these malfeasances are held accountable for that. And our view is that they need to be strengthened, their capacity need to be strengthened, their resources must be made available, so that those particular people must be arrested who are at the wrong side of the law, who stole the money of the people, must be arrested, they must be prosecuted, and they must be jailed, because at the end of the day, if you don't have consequence management, you are not going to succeed in terms of improving the situation itself.
One of the issues that you highlighted as well, Mr. Dodovu, is what you call a sense of hostility towards the intervention management team. How is that being dealt with?
Firstly, yes, we realize that there is a bit of hostility, especially when it comes from the side of the legislature and some within the executive, without really supporting the executive, because our observation is that there are those people who think that the intervention was not necessary. The cabinet led by President Ramaphosa didn't take the right decision to intervene. But our collective view as a committee is that there was a compelling case to institute an investigation to take power, because the situation was deteriorating at the provincial level. That is a problem, and that is why you see animosity and hostility sometimes, and lack of cooperation. And this is something that we have emphasized. We have said, in order for this intervention to succeed, all the players must come together, must support one another. The department and the government of the Northwest must, in the first place, understand that they are under administration. There is an intervention in terms of Section 100. The national government has taken some powers, and therefore those administrators who are appointed by the national government must be supported. There must be cooperation that is there. And in terms of their own accountability at the level of the legislature, they must account to the committees of parliament, submit reports. There must be that interaction so that those particular committees as well are able to play their own oversight function very, very well. And in that sense, if that can be obtained, and even going forward for the implication of the future perspective, we think and believe that this can go a long way in terms of addressing those tricky issues that are still obtained in the Northwest Province.
Mr. Dodovu, we'll leave it at that for this evening. Thank you very much for the update. And I guess the answers to your questions will be found on the 24th of June, whether you decide to extend the work that you're doing there, the intervention, or you decide to allow the province to once again take the reins back to their own management. Thank you very much for your time and the update. That's Mr. China Dodovu. He's the chairperson of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Section 100 intervention in the Northwest Province.